The history of the township of Mataura has taken a modern leap, both in its newly refurbished historic building on Kana Street, as well as the museum's cherished collection becoming accessible worldwide. I took a sneak peek at a project that's been in the long-term plan for the past 6 years. The man behind the Mataura Museum makeover says the result is not your typical cottage decked out in pioneer chattels telling the Pākehā story. Instead, the focus is on keeping it fresh with interactives and 6 monthly rotations. Mataura's history is steeped in industry, and there's a room dedicated to enterprise of the area.
We've taken major themes, as you'd expect, of the freezing works, the paper mill, coal, and then the smaller support industries around those biggies. The interactives for this room, I went to the Film Archive in Wellington, and they had archival footage of the Mataura works at work in the 1930s. So we grabbed that, edited it down into fun clips, showing the solo butchers, how they dealt with the byproducts, the carcasses going off and being put in slings into the holds of ships off to England. And then compared it with current footage of the robotics and the sheep changes before they closed.
A major part of the $250,000 project was the digitisation of the collection, which now can be viewed online through New Zealand Museum. One story that shows the strength of the exercise is that of local man Stan White.
As a teenage boy, worked in the Mataura freezing works. He packed these livers, he's a bit of a dag. He wrote his name, address, please write to me, put it on top of the liver billies. They were frozen and sent to England. A health officer checked the consignment, found Stan's notes and wrote back to him. We have this wonderful set of correspondence between the two men. Aubrey led in talks about what it was like in England during the war, to sort of live through the Blitz, rationing, what it was like rebuilding London and surrounds after the war. We put the letters online, and Aubrey's son Jeff found them. When his dad died in the late 60s, Jeff's brother-in-law chucked all his dad's papers out, so he didn't have anything to remember his dad by. So when he found these really personal and eloquent letters, it was so moving for him. And so much so that he came out to New Zealand to meet Stan and complete that wonderful circle. So for us, it was a real validation of the digitisation project that we've done.
Local figures give first-person accounts of the historical connections with the township, bringing a sense of life to the museum.
We've invited 12 locals to share their connection with Mataura and basically share their Mataura story. And we've tried to choose people that are representative of the sector.
You've also got an old-style wall-hung telephone that you've incorporated an iPod into, which again is another rotational story.
Yeah, and there's a plinth in the middle of the room and the two link. So just mixing up the storytelling technique. And the great thing again is if you can get a first-person account of why an item or an object is important to someone, it's just got that certain je ne sais quoi.
The 50-metre square Clematis Cottage was built in 1883 and purchased by Jim Spooner in the mid-20s. He raised his 8 children there as a solo father, later selling the property in the 80s.
The two cottages were built at the same time, and you have this great before and after snapshot without us having to take any photos. This building, we stripped it to bits, rebuilt it, and insulated it, re-roofed, did everything that you would expect to make it safe to house heritage objects in.
Lovely cottage gardens, heritage fruit trees.
What we wanted to do was create a sense of energy, colour and fun. So the cottage garden and the wonderful flowers achieved that, and the wildflower garden out the back. And we're surrounded by old orchards. So we thought we would take that theme and have planted a series of fruit trees, espalier style, to surround the wildflower garden. And it's looking stunning.
On-site storage was an essential component to keeping rotational pieces safely kept, and thousands of work hours have gone into packing the collection. Today's soft opening was a chance for David and his dedicated team of volunteers to reintroduce the museum to community supporters ahead of its official opening on Saturday, coinciding with Southland Heritage Month. Margot Sutherland, South Today News.